Okay, that's live. Just give people a chance to come in.
I'm going to share some posts, some links to it.
Okay. Just give it a bit. There we are.
I found you.
Cool. Cool.
So,
just give it a couple of minutes and I'll get started. Okay, so just going to give it a little bit just to get started. Sarah's next to me. She's going to kind of keep me abreast of comments and that kind of thing. Feel free to chip in with questions and stuff at any point of it. It's kind of how I've been doing these things. These things so far is just kind of informal, just a sort of having a can of craft beer and just having a kind of ramble about subjects and such like. And going to be this is a kind of sort of informal kind of redux indoor living room version of a show that I did at the Edinburgh Fringe in 2013, which was called Leave the Landing Light On. That title was Mick Ferry came up with the title for that show. I did a show the previous year in 2012 called Kidnapped by Catwoman, which was about kind of childhood sexual awakening, comic books, fetish, that kind of thing. And this was a follow-up show to it that was supposed to be about kind of childhood fear, uneasiness, and that kind of thing, with again like a kind of pop culture sort of feel to it. And the show was at the Stand, and it was at the Stand 3, sorry, and it was at midnight as well for added atmosphere. And I think I did a free one in the afternoon at like 2 o'clock, and I just came close to fucking dying right the way through. I'd do is one was at lunchtime and one was at midnight. So I'd like get up and do the midday show. That was at the Canonsgate, just doing like a sort of hour of old stuff, bucket show, and then I'd have like another nap or whatever, and then get up flying and stuff. It nearly fucking killed me doing that. The only other worst time for that was the 2006. I went up and we'd done my 2005 show. We were in like a 50-seater, and it was doing really good numbers. I think it was probably the sort of one of the best like years I had. And me and my agent had this fucking stupid idea that the next year we thought rather than move, my agent said we should move to a bigger room, and I was like, I want to stay in the 50-seater. So we said, oh, we could do like matinee and evening performances of the same show. So we had one at 2 and like one at 8 o'clock, and fuck me, it just split the whole thing in half. And I was just doing like the same thing twice every day, and people just came to one or the other. I could have just done it in one go. So yeah, I always think one show a day from now on, and then every time I do the Fringe, I always end up doing 2. So this is one of those years I was doing 2. So I'd not have a nap. I'd walk down to the Stand 3 for about. There used to be a fox. They were digging up the road for the trams at the time, and there was this fox every night that used to like kind of walk up with me to I got to about where the Picanti chip shop is. This fox would appear from wherever and kind of like walk with me the rest of the way up to the Stand 3, and it was like having a pet fox for a little bit. And then one night, some fucking idiot, sort of stereotypical tourist with like a fucking raincoat and a camera, just went up behind the fox and like went like fucking and like fucking frightened it. I never seen it again. So yeah, it's like just a bit of niceness in the stress that is the Fringe there, just spoiled by fucking idiot. So this shows we got people in now.
Yes, you do. You've got Smithy says,
Cool.
good evening, sir.
Hello, Smithy.
Martin Searle, I never know how to say his surname, is here, said good evening. Matt
Martin.
Roseglade.
Cool.
Finally found my way here. Facebook didn't make it easy. Beer, sofa, Will, lovely. I have now posted links in as many places as I could think of, so people should find it easier. And Annie and John are both here.
Hi, Annie. Hi, John. I think Annie and John came to this one. It was like it's going to be this is going to be totally. It's going to be different to the live one. It's going to have a lot of the same subject, but it's going to have PowerPoint. When it was the live one, I did PowerPoint twice, and that was the second and last time that I did. I think there was going to be there was supposed to be a third show in this after there's the Kidnap a Cat one, this one, and there was a third. I think I just couldn't think of what the third one would be. If anyone's got any suggestions at the end of it, like gratefully accepted. But I suppose like years between a trilogy, it's just kind of, mind you, Back to the Future 2, that was like what, 5 years after Back to the Future?
Yeah, you can have a gap in between.
I think the third one I think it was supposed to be called something like Dry Your Eyes, Mate. It was supposed to be about things that make you cry. And I think one of the reasons I didn't do it was because just I was in when I did the Landing Light show, I was in incredibly poor mental health when I wrote it. And I've got not a lot of like coherent memory of doing some of the show, just because I was on anti-anxiety meds that I just started taking, and I was a bit kind of disconnected from stuff at the time. And also I'm quite sort of superstitious in my own right, and I kind of had it in my head that the show was unlucky somehow because I was working on it when my breakdown happened, and I kind of shelved it for ages and never did. There was no I didn't do any other performances of it. There was no tour of it. The show was partly directed by Andrew O'Neill. He went through a few things with me with it, and there was anyway. I'm just going to get on with the kind of gist of the show. The show is another kind of 80s childhood show. I was born in 1978. I grew up in the 80s as a child. I was a teenager in the 90s. This is going to be mostly kind of 80s stuff, but some of it's going to be stuff from the 70s. It was just kind of kicking around when I was a kid. There's going to be stuff like books, comics, films, that kind of thing. So should probably start it where I started the show, and that was with.
Can I jump in just before you do?
Yeah, of course you can.
Can you mute the notifications on your laptop so that?
Yeah. How do I do that?
Just like however you'd normally mute the sound.
I don't know. Sorry, just technical.
There you go. That's it.
Can people still hear me?
They should be able to.
Yeah.
They won't hear the annoying dings every time they get a Facebook.
Cool.
And also, Bonnie Fairbrass has just joined, and Hikaru Lachlan Freeman.
AJ.
Good morning from Australia.
How you doing, AJ?
Okay. You can continue.
Right, cool. The show, I started off the show talking a bit about kind of basically horror and kind of geekdom, childhood, the 80s. I used to love horror stuff when I was a kid, especially when I was about kind of 7 years old. This would have been like 1985. They used to show black and white film on the telly back then. They used to be all kinds of stuff that you'd never see now on the TV. The TV's still full of repeats, but you used to get like interesting repeats of things back in the 80s, especially on like Channel 4 and like BBC 2. So like on BBC 2, while the news was on, there would always be something like kind of Laurel and Hardy or some kind of a cartoon. Never Disney and never Warner Brothers. It was always something like kind of Harmon Ising or like the Fleischer, one of those sort of slightly off kilter, kind of creepy 30s cartoons. It was kind of neither one or the other things. Sometimes those kind of colour ones that are like Disney knockoffs, or sometimes you get those like scary as fuck kind of black and white things with like the Fleischer brothers, sort of those Betty Boop ones that were all kind of like that were aimed at adults, so were meant to be like fucking marijuana hallucinations and stuff, like Cab Calloway and all kinds of things. Some things, if you watched them on actually on drugs, they probably like send your fucking head west and hospitalise you. It's kind of like being on drugs watching the things. But they used to show horror movies late at night on Channel 4, and they'd be on at like midnight, Universal horror ones. So the kind of trinity of thing, Dracula, Frankenstein, the Wolfman, and also the ones like the Invisible Man. So like Boris Karloff, Claude Rains, Glenn Strange, Bela Lugosi, John Carradine, those sort of classic horror things. This is kind of my favourite era of horror because it was a lot of people into Hammer. I've never really massively been into Hammer films, like sort of Amicus and all of that. Like definitely the Universal ones, the ones that do it for me. I've got a kind of theory about, because when people that were into kind of creepy, spooky stuff as children tend to be kind of see themselves like this way I did, as kind of outcast sort of figures. I never felt like people really particularly related to me when I was 7 years old. I had like sort of friends as in people as like kids I interacted with, but it was I was quite a sort of solitary, indoorsy sort of a person, really. I didn't kind of get out and sort of climb trees and like fuck about on railway tracks and that kind of thing. I just used to stay in and like read books and comics and just like watch old films that had been recorded off the telly. And you kind of have like an affinity with the monsters in these things. The way it's presented to you, you're supposed to watch something like, say, Frankenstein, and you're supposed to be afraid of it. And I was never really afraid of any of the monsters. I used to find them quite relatable, and I sort of felt sorry for them in a lot of ways, and also a bit of kind of solidarity with them. Like with Frankenstein, he's misunderstood. King Kong's probably the prime example of that. I remember watching the King Kong film, not the 1930s one, I've seen that later, but the remake from the 70s had Jeff Bridges, and I think Bo Derek might have been in it as well, but it was like the colour remake of it. I remember sitting watching this with my dad when I was about 5 years old, something like that. And like when King Kong got killed at the end of it, when he got like machine gun and fell off it was the fucking World Trade Center in the remake rather than the Empire State. So I don't think they show that much now. That's kind of like been followed alongside that Simpsons episode where Homer needs to piss by the Twin Towers, and then there's that Sesame Street book where Cookie Monster's eating the fucking Twin Towers on the front of it from like about 1980 or something. But he thought the King Kong got machine gun, fell off that, and he was dead. I was absolutely fucking distraught by this. This was not the I was kind of expecting at that age films to have like a kind of nice conclusion to it. I was absolutely fucking distraught. My dad had to tell me there was a sequel where King Kong just gets back up and there's fuck all wrong with him and he just goes back to the jungle and he's fine. I don't know if any such film exists. He's probably just pulled that out of his ass to try and make me feel better, but it's not a strong premise for a film, is it? King Kong just gets so it's like, I'm fine, looks way worse than it is. I'm a fucking massive gorilla, I'll be fine. I shall just take my leave if you don't mind. I don't particularly like this, to be honest. Not been a great experience in New York. I went to New York and didn't particularly like it later on, so more affinity with King Kong there. I didn't get machine gunned off the top of the Trade Center or anything. You couldn't fucking go up it then because it had been blown up the one of the towers blown up the first time. But a homeless guy went boo at me when I was walking down a street in Times Square and scared the shit out of me. So that was like my equivalent of the fate of King Kong. I can see why he did it. I was like walking around looking shit scared because I was in New York and I'd convinced myself that I was going to be on the set of fucking Double Dragon. I was about fucking 15 at the time, something like that. So I used to feel affinity with the with the monsters in the films, Frankenstein, the Wolfman especially, because Lon Chaney was really fucking angsty and lonely, and just no one kind of got him. He always got the shit end of the stick in those films. I mean, for one thing, he's a werewolf, which is not as cool as you'd initially think it might be on the surface. But he's also just, there's always like the same premise that he meets some kind of either a mad scientist who's outright fucking mad, or a reasonable scientist, but they all become mad as soon as the Frankenstein monster comes into the equation. They think like, what? Well, I could fucking make a better go of that than Frankenstein. Let me see these fucking notes, and they've gone fucking mad themselves. And Lon Chaney's also like, can't you cure me that tonight the moon will be full, I'll become a werewolf, and they'll be like, fuck off, I'm gonna fucking make the Frankenstein monster look proper this time. It's not every time they revive it, it's always gonna, they can't improve on the kind of like walking. It's funny things. Only in the only reason Frankenstein always does that in cartoons is because there's that. It's Ghost of Frankenstein, where he's just, because he's a bit fucked because he's been frozen in ice or whatever, and he's just doing that same kind of shit that Norman Wisdom was doing in that film that we watched the other week that you found irritating and I found endearing. So I think this is why that whole thing is why our like kind of goths and that a thing. I think it's that kind of, it's the affinity between the kind of tortured, hunted, supernatural being and the outcast child. So that's was the basis of the show. And also I'm just going to be getting out a few like sort of weird kids books and things. So like a bit of a tour of my archive of stuff I've collected over the years, a few sort of like bits and pieces about stuff. Some things from my childhood were like sort of that were scary, that were kind of like meant to be like public information films, which are supposed to be scary, otherwise they don't work. But then there was also just kind of some things. The 80s was a generally unsettling decade, I think, in a lot of ways. Even as like a primary school age child, you got this kind of sort of feeling that something was slightly amiss. And you kind of like there was obviously like the usual kind of like sort of children's fare. There was Transformers, the 80s. It was an acknowledged golden age of children's entertainment. But then it was also, it was the Thatcher era. There was the miners' strike. There was the Falklands. There was the kind of threat of nuclear war. All that was all kind of like in the background, in between your Tom and Jerry and your Visionaries or whatever. There was all kinds of like bad shit going on the news. You were kind of aware of that. So I mean, you shouldn't really be that aware of politics when you're kind of like 5 or 6, but you're kind of surrounded by all of these, especially even in comics and stuff, these kind of almost nightmarish images of Maggie Thatcher. It was always like the caricaturist's greatest fucking gift as a politician. These kind of like sort of hawk-nosed, fucking scary, looming, fucking horror visions of her, like and there was that fucking role-playing game, like I should have dug it out, I'll put it up on the I might put a few like visual examples up on the page after this. Has anyone got any like questions or anything before I get like in the full ramble? Or anyone for anything?
Not questions so far, but just like a couple of comments about stuff that you said back at the beginning.
Cool.
So, AJ agreed with you that those early cartoons were like drug hallucinations. I think you're talking about Betty Boop and stuff like that. Yeah,
well, Betty Boop must be the most merchandised comic character or cartoon character whose cartoons you never seen, or they're never repeated because they're not suitable for children, and even adults find them just fucking bizarre. And also, again, black and white, and ergo never get just kind of bunged on. They used to show silent films on Channel 4. Channel 4 used to be, the channels used to be more kind of like you knew where you were. I think BBC One was like was fucking BBC One like it is. BBC Two though would be like your sort of like where you'd see like your Laurel and Hardy films or whatever, your kind of the Lavender Hill Mob in the afternoon. ITV was like just fucking Cannon and Balls, Casino, or what have you, Game for a Laugh, that kind of thing, sort of Disposal, Bullseye. your kind of sort of lowbrow thing. And Channel 4 back then used to be like, you'd see like a Polish claymation or like the full 4-hour cut of Greed or something like that. And like it's before, it's like now it's just like the fucking toxic fucking hipster vision, like sort of see how we can fucking have a complete fucking mental collapse in a fucking box with Davina McCall fucking pointing and laughing at him and all that kind of shit. But it used to be Channel 4 used to be the artsy channel back in the old days. So
couple of other comments. Gary McCall said BBC Two in the 70s was my introduction to horror. That and Pan books of ghost stories, brilliant. AJ said Jessica Lange. I can't remember what you were talking about at that point.
King Kong. It was Jessica Lange. It wasn't Bo. Bo Derek was in fucking Tarzan, the shit version of Tarzan with tits and ass Tarzan. With I can't remember, it was Tarzan, and it was Bo Derek's tits, this guy's ass, all the way through it, and I just sort of got vague memories of like seeing bits of that on the telly and thinking like probably like too old for me or whatever. But yeah, no, that was the one. Yeah, BBC, of course, BBC 4 is now BBC 2, and BBC 2. What the fuck even is BBC 2 now?
Shit.
We've not watched. What have we watched on iPlayer? I keep optimistic on EastEnders and loads of stuff on there. It's a different fucking universe now. If this lockdown had been in, to be honest, if the lockdown had been in 1984, it would have been shit, but there would have been good. There would have been something good on BBC 2. There would have been like Abbott and Costello Meet the Keystone Cops or something like that on there.
I would have only just been born, so I wouldn't have been much used to.
And you get the public. So I'm going to go straight to the public information for us and sort of things that frightened me. I was frightened of. There was a few kind of. I was frightened of when the Pink Panther used to speak. He talks all the time now, doesn't he? In cartoons, when the newer ones, he talks, but he never used to say anything in the old Pink Panther cartoons. So, did anyone else get this kind of thing where I know that the Pink Panther films classics now and Peter Sellers and all that kind of thing? Was anyone else just like bitterly let down when they were on telly and like your dad would go like, oh, there's a Pink Panther film, and I think like a fucking feature-length Pink Panther film, and it'd be like the title sequence, think like cool, the Pink Panther, and then there's like it's fucking live action, like Peter Sellers doing like karate and farting in a lift and stuff. Well, it's all well and good, but you think, fuck me, this has been like poorly marked as a Pink Panther film. But there was one of the Pink Panther cartoons, and I could have looked up which one, and I didn't. But it was one where I think it was one where there was like a kind of Noah's Ark sort of thing, and it was like the Pink Panther's Ark. So he had like a big fucking boat, and he was like corralling elephants and hippopotamuses and shit on it, and there was some kind of stuff went down. But he walks away at the end, so as per usual with a Pink Panther, he walks off into the sunset. The music's like da da na 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 na, but he just turns right to the camera and goes, "Why can't man be more like animals?" In this kind of weird fucking Terry Thomas voice. I was like, ugh, fucking Pink Panther fucking spoke in a fucking weird upper class English accent where are panthers native to?
I want to say somewhere in Africa. I don't really know.
Colonisation at work there, or is it that he's from a zoo, the Pink Panther?
Is there such a thing as a Pink Panther in the wild? I think there.
I don't believe that there is. That used to be the whole gist of the beginning of it. It'd be like, think of all the animals you've ever heard about, like rhinoceroses and tigers catching lynx. Like yes, or like, have you ever seen a panther that is pink? Well, like no other than Pink Panther cartoons. I haven't, but not like in the fucking street or whatever.
Matt Roseblade says, yes, Pink Panther cartoons with the Mancini soundtrack were fabulous. When he got a voice, it was far too scrappy-doo. which is quite a good.
What was his voice like in the other one? I've got no real. They were like after my time. They just that. I remember having that weird sort of like
I don't remember him talking at all.
It's just fucking unsettling. It was just what expecting it, and then but that sort of thing I found sort of scarier than like something like Dracula, which didn't. I wanted to fucking be Dracula when I was a kid. The whole thing's like, oh, wouldn't it be terrible if you were to run into Dracula on your way back from school? I'd have fucking loved running into Dracula. I wanted to fucking hang out with Dracula, watch his own films, do like a full fucking Q&A thing on that. The Pink Panther fucking talking, or like Clive Dunn when in Grandad making fire shit out of a kettle, which made me fucking scared of Clive Dunn for about fucking 2 years when I was about sort of like 3 or 4 years old. I couldn't watch fucking. He was in this thing, Grandad. It was a sitcom based on the record that he did, where he was like playing like he was probably like still 27 at the time or whatever, playing like an 8-year-old like doddery, sort of dangerous old git and like exploding shit. And I just every time Clive Dunn and people Grandad, I thought like I just used to fucking do one in case he fucking made fire shoot out of it. I couldn't even watch Bric-a-Brac, and apparently looking at that on the internet, that was fucking Brian Cant wearing a flat cap and glasses. I just presumed it was Clive Dunn because it was kind of Clive Dunn's shtick. So that frightened me. My biggest fear, though, were public information films. They don't do public information films very much anymore. I think they do. There's been a few like COVID ones, I think, at the minute, and you get the odd, like in the cinema, you'll get the drink driving ones and all of that. But they used to be much more. They used to be made by the Central Office of Information, which is a very Orwellian sounding thing, which doesn't exist anymore. I think it got cut or something like that. So what they must have done at the Central Office of Information was, I'm not sure how it worked, they must have just sat there all day and thought like sort of accident statistics, like a lot of people dying of like fucking falling into grain silos or whatever. Better do a film about that. And these used to be kind of two ways that you'd see public information films. They used to be 3 ways actually that you'd be subjected to them. I used to be absolutely fucking terrified. You'd eventually, once you'd seen the start of them, you could kind of, that was my trigger warning to be heading for the fucking back of the sofa. The 3 ways you'd see them. First of all, they'd be on, if it was BBC, they just used to shove them randomly in between programmes and just catch you off guard like that. So you'd like, say you're like off sick from school, you just watch Pebble Mill at 1, and they'd be like, oh, Pebble Mill at 1 now, whatever the fuck used to be on Pebble Mill at 1. I just always think Pebble Mill off school sick, Pebble Mill at 1. They'd be like in a moment seesaw programmes with King Roller, but now a public information film. And we used to get a lot of like localised ones because living obviously in Chippenham, which is like the sticks, you'd get the John Noakes used to be on one that was on quite often, telling you not to let your dog go fucking mental in the country and kill loads of sheep and stuff. They must have thought like, who's a dog expert, but who's got the kind of like authoritative tone. So it'd be like John Noakes, and it'd be like, so I'm here with whatever dog I replaced Shep with, and like sort of, oh yeah, there's a lot of nice sheep here, isn't there? You wouldn't think your dog could go fucking batshit and fucking rip loads of sheep to fucking trim it. But I remember he used to go, because you could have a dead dog and a £200 fine. And John Noakes getting Larry getting kind of fucking raw with you. There used to be another one. Christ, this fucking used to be the bloke's gonna be fucking appearing in this in some capacity. It used to be about farmers burning straw. And for some reason, it was Jimmy Savile used to like turn up randomly wearing these fucking like weird Tinny Mallet-esque glasses and doing this kind of fucking motion and going so like burning straw comes under the lawn. Now, lady, gentleman, farmer, you could wind up to your tits in the fucking shite with the fucking burning straw and stuff. These just come out of fucking nowhere. And they were just, but you used to get the ones that were aimed at kids were more kind of more to do with like sort of death and injury and stuff, and they usually typically appear on ITV, on children's ITV, randomly inserted into the advert breaks with all of the adverts for toys and things. So you'd be sat watching children's ITV, and there'd be like Tommy Boyd sat at the control thing, and they'd be like, sort of, that's it from Victor and Maria. We'll be back after the break with, I don't know, Count Duckula or whatever. Then you got like toy advert, space Lego, pound puppies, rainbow brights, and then they'd be like, because a lot of these films were made much earlier than the 80s, like in the mid 70s, they were filmed on like film rather than video, like the adverts, and it was like they'd been beamed in from some terrifying fucking parallel dimension. So it'd be like space Lego break, then it'd be like a sort of hiss, and then there'd be like some kids in parkas walking by a river going, we ain't been back there, not since it happened. And so like fucking carnage would ensue. There used to be like the one with Donald Pleasance dressed up as the Grim Reaper and going like, I am the spirit of dark and lonely water, here to trap the unwary, the show-off, and the fool. And this is the sort of place you'd expect to find me. And there'd be like fucking mist and shit, like in a fucking Amicus horror film. Like, but no one expects to fucking find me here. Like sort of nice thing. There's Benny out of Grange Hill playing. Oh, look at that daft little fucker there hanging off that branch. It'll never take his fucking weight. Snap. Glug, glug, glug. And toy advert, back to fucking Tommy Boyd. Sat like fuck all's happened. So, oh, there we go. And now over to fucking Towser, the fucking dog that was I remember, and I can't remember a single thing that he did. And this used to be coming right. You'd get to, as soon as I saw a frisbee, the first time I saw a frisbee flying through the air during an advert break on children's ITV, I presumed they were advertising frisbees, but it wasn't. It was a fucking it's electric fucking substations. I reckon everyone between like 35 and 60 lives in fucking fear of electrical substations. Yep. The frisbee flying through the air, stuck in this. There were several variations of this. It all would involve like a football or a frisbee getting kicked into one of these bloody substation things and wedged in there, and there'd be like usually like a girl and an older brother, and it'd be like, oh, you know, like we should probably get like a park keeper or whatever to get that frisbee. Like, oh, fuck that, I could get in there. There were some kids with Sham 69 badges on their flying jackets made a fucking hole in there earlier. I'll just walk up here. This synth music is creepy because there's something about it that's like just disembodied. So they'd be like walking towards the fucking frisbee. You'd be watching this like that fucking thing, like sort of crate rock, Kraftwerk kind of thing, and that fucking barbecuing the fuck out of themselves. One of them even had the voice of Mr. Barraclough out of Porridge on it, which is a weird mix of horror and kind of genteelness and such like. And there was the third wave. Let's have a sip of me Stormtrooper. This is nice. The Stormtrooper. Where was this from?
From Stormtrooper.
From Stormtrooper. It has been in Morrison's though. Yeah. It's been in Morrison's. It's all right. It's got a Stormtrooper on it, which is enough to sell its beer, which is like, this company knows me well if they were trying to sell me something, but it is also nice as well. Any questions or anything while I'm going to sip of my beer?
Questions, lots of comments.
Mm-hmm.
Probably too many to read them all out.
Mm-hmm.
Gary McCall saying the Pink Panther speaking was like Rex Harrison as Dr. Dolittle, terrifying. Have you got the 2 DVD collection of public information films, Don't Go Near the Water? And then Will Walder saying there's a DVD called Charlie Says.
I've got that one.
Yeah, I know you've got that one because you've been subjecting it.
I've subjected you to it
throughout this.
Don't Go Near the Water. I've not got. Dr. Dolittle is an interesting thing with Dr. Dolittle. They filmed that in Castle Coombe, which is near to Chippenham, and this led to my granddad, who was a detective arresting Ranulph Fiennes, isn't it? the Mountaineer guy. There's Ranulph Fiennes, Rafe Fiennes, and it's just like a succession of failures to call someone Ralph. Ranulph Fiennes, Ranulph Fiennes he's a Mountaineer guy. Like his dick fell off because of frostbite or something like that in the 60s. And Ranulph Fiennes was in the SAS at this point, and in Castle Combe they didn't like the film being made there. They were making changes to things. They fucked about with one of the rivers or something like that and dammed it up. And someone was like, "Well, I know a guy in the SAS who's called like Rolf or like Rafe or Ranulph or something like named by dogs." And so they called Ranulph Fiennes up, and he tried to dynamite the bits of the set that were offending the residents of Castle Combe. And my granddad arrested him. He said he was one of the nicest blokes that he'd ever arrested. Took him to Chippenham police station, and I don't know what happened to him. So he can't have got banged up for years or anything, because he climbed Mount Everest later on. He was signing books down at Waterstones, Chippenham, like ages ago. My granddad was still alive there, but I couldn't really have taken him down there. I quite wanted to take him down there and just sort of go like and just fucking re-meet your captor down there. But yeah, that's got fuck all to do with this show. But yeah, it's Doctor Dolittle. Little trivia there. Ranulph Fiennes' attempted bit sort of benign terrorism, I suppose. So if you're thinking of going to Castle Combe while the lockdown's on and like pricking about down there, just bear in mind that's how they fucking deal with stuff they don't like in Castle Combe, by getting a Knight of the Realm to dynamite shit. And I had some mates from Castle Combe when I was at school, and there's a lot of if it's anything like that, there's a lot of fucking about with homemade weaponry in Castle Combe. Let me tell you, there's very little else to do down there except dangerous things. If you imagine like a cross between This Country and First Blood, that was like Castle Combe when I was a kid. I used to have a mate that used to come out. He'd walk out. He'd have like a baseball bat with fucking nails sticking out of it, and he'd be sort of like, "Just off to play, mum." And she'd be like, "All right, be good," and all that. And it used to be up with another mate, and they'd fucking fight each other with like real swords and stuff like that. I was in his bedroom once, and we were listening to records and that, and a fucking spider runs across the floor. And I'm don't like him. I freaked. He's got pulled a fucking meat cleaver out from under the bed and fucking tried to get it with a fucking meat cleaver. The fucking improvised weaponry at Castle, because there's no street lighting at all down there. It's eerie.
There's lots. Colin Samuel saying, "I remember a public. This is terrifying. I remember a public information film about how you shouldn't paint over polystyrene ceiling tiles because it makes them massively flammable. Horrific stuff. Melting fire, falling on people. I'm pretty regularly, even now, I see painted polystyrene ceiling tiles and get very nervous."
The only one I've seen like that had animation that looked like the Terry Gilliam Monty Python stuff and was quite comical, but I can see that taking a much more horrendous tone. People still do that. The films don't fucking work then, clearly, if people are still doing it.
Probably old
they should redo it. So there's loads to know on YouTube. You can have a wormhole of these things. But one of my favourite ones, I don't remember it from the time on YouTube, is about air rifle safety. It just starts off with two kids watching like Yosemite Sam getting shot up the ass by Bugs Bunny. It's sort of like, you may think this is fucking funny, getting shot up the ass in a fucking Looney Tunes cartoon, but if it was a high-powered air rifle and all of that, it's a fucking like, be careful. Don't not give your kid a high-powered air rifle. Just like make sure they don't do any shots to the posterior. I used to have a fucking air rifle when I was a bookish, nerdy sort of a kid. It's just fucking, is it like a countryside thing? Everyone being tooled up with air rifles and.
Well, I lived in even more of the countryside than you did, and I don't remember that many people having guns and stuff. But then I was in primary school and Dunblane happened, like literally just down the road, so different time.
I guess so. I remember up at the Fringe once. I was on a conversation with some other people about like being saying like, "Oh, everyone's been shot with an air pistol." That's of like our age, and then a very well-known comedy agent showed us where he'd been shot with a fucking actual shotgun as a kid doing something. So that put an end to the air rifle based hilarity. But yeah, you get like shot with these, like in the arse with these things, like on a not on a regular basis.
I thought you were going to say on like a weekly basis.
Not on a weekly basis, but it'd be like things like sort of childhood weaponry. It's like it's probably, is it worse in school now or better? I don't know. I used to get like deodorant cans and lighters used to be the other one. The homemade flamethrower with a Black Widow catapults as well. Are they still a thing?
I've never heard of.
They're like catapults. They're not like a harmless wooden catapult like Dennis the Menace has like at the back of his pocket, like a thing where you like strap it to your fucking arm, and it's for like killing like fucking elephants or something out in the wild.
What the fuck?
Remember at college, someone fired a fucking 50p piece out of one of those at me. It's like a big thing, like a hunting catapult. It's just like a big bastard. You have like a fucking gauntlet thing on your arm. You like pull it back, and you like. I've had like people fire fucking coins out of them. Out of them at me.
Getting back to the comments.
Yeah.
Andrew uses Hunter. Says there was one where a kid's feet get chopped off on a railway line that traumatised us.
That is the greatest public information film of all time. Is Robbie. 2 versions of this. If you're my age, it was. If you're a lot older than me, you would have seen it with Peter Purvis off Blue Peter. But this was one they used to show in the third way of watched a public information film. As you go into school, and the first time this happens at primary school, you're excited. You go into assembly, and there's a video projector, and you think, we're going to watch a film. Perhaps this will be like Condor Man or Escape to Witch Mountain or something like that. And then you see there's either a copper or a like retired railway guy, and you think, shit, because if it's a copper, it's going to be the How Not to Get Abducted by Duncan Preston out of Dinner Ladies on the promise of seeing puppies, or like Non-Stop by Timothy Spall with his Rubik's Cube. Or if it's the train guy, it's going to be, as you say, Andrew, it's going to be Robbie, which they used to show that every year, I think, when I was at primary. And the train guy would be like, usually like, I presume retired or something. They were quite old. They'd be sort of like, yes, now I'm from like the railways. All young boys love trains. And I'd think like, this is 1984, mate. Like all boys love the A-Team and Han Solo and stuff. You're thinking of like the 1930s or something. You're like, don't let your... He wouldn't actually be smoking a pipe, but I just fucking... He's, for some reason, he's got the voice of my mate Brian from the Three Crowns. So I'm like, oh, don't let your love of trains get you into difficulties here. Now, what I'm about to show you is a true story. This really happened. It's practically a documentary, really. Robbie is a real boy, and I've been to visit him from time to time, and I'll hand you over now to Keith. So you got Keith Chegwin stood there, like leaning over the railway thing, a train going past, and Keith Chegwin's like, so hello, I'm Keith Chegwin, and the producers of this think I'm some sort of children's hero. In 1997, you'll see the back of my scrotum in the Channel 5 ill-advised naked jungle game show. For now, I'm going to tell you about Robbie. Robbie, like all boys, loved trains, and the one thing he loved more than trains was football. He loved to run and kick footballs and walk and be connected to the ground and get out of bed unassisted and stand up and do all kinds of wonderful things with his fully functioning pair of legs and feet. And Robbie gets in his love of trains and his love of football. His love of trains gets him in, not even really a love of trains, it's more just got a susceptibility to peer pressure that does him in. He's convinced by some older kids, you know, they're bad news because they're wearing Harrington jackets, and they're like, "Oh, we should we'll just cut across the railway track, shall we?" And he'd be like, "Well, I don't know about that." They'll be like, "Oh, this is like, you'll be absolutely fine. You're not scared of a little thing like being run over by an Intercity 125 or anything like that. Are you, Robbie? We thought you were cool. We didn't realise that you were afraid of death or anything like that." And he's like, "Oh, blah 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 blah." Then he walks across. They all go as sensibly, ironically, they just get straight over there, no fucking about. And they stood over the other side of the thing, goes, "Oh, come on, Robbie." Fucking, and he like, very slowly, which is what I don't get, just fucking wanker it across there, like they have, and you'll be fine. Like, of course you're going to get hit by a train at the time you're like, but he gets his football boots caught on the tracks, and he, to cut a long story short, which admittedly is not my forte, while he's fucking about trying to extract his football boots, the train track, he gets run over by an oncoming train, and it basically cuts his feet off, and cops turn up at his mum's. So this is the bit that always got me. The cops turn up at his mum's house, like knock on the door, and she's like, "What's this?" Like, "Oh, like, hello, Mrs. Robbie, got some bad news for you. This is just," they tell her the what's gone on, and they go, "Oh, by the way, these are here." They got his football boots, and at the end of it, Robbie's like in bed. So Robbie's got his football boots hanging on the back of his bedroom door, so to remind him that never to play. Like, you couldn't fucking do it, even if he wanted to. He's can't fucking, the attitude to disabled people by Keith Chegwin is appalling. It's all like, so Robbie's life is over because he can't play football anymore. So that's it for Robbie. He's got to probably have to like read a book or some bullshit like that now that he can't fucking play football. He'll never play fucking football. There'll never be any fucking grotty tabloid exposés of him or anything like that. His life's fucking finished. It's as if he could fucking he'd have to get someone to fucking like go like sort of like, I'd like another go. I think I personally could have like outdone those. There used to be a similar note, as probably this totally related to this show. There used to be down the old railway line in Chippenham. It's fucking no explanation. They use a railway line in Chippenham that don't get used anymore, and you can like walk up it now. And that was rumoured to be haunted when I was at school. And I remember some quite lurid eyewitness accounts of ghosts down there, and one of them was the one that always I used to think was quite creepy at the time, and now it makes me laugh, was someone reckon they saw a shopping list, the ghost of a shopping list. They go like, went down the old railway line, there was a shopping list, and it says on it, eggs, bread, milk, blood. The ghost of a shopping list that has died in such eerie circumstance that it's caught in a netherworld and can neither enter like heaven nor hell, and just that roams the old railway line, getting blown about by the winds with its grim list of shit on there. I think this was supposed to be like a train crashed on there that no one ever heard about. But there was a ghost as a boy, and you see him running down the track trying to outrun the train, like fucking Darwin Award territory. Just go up to the side, away from the thing. Like, I can fucking outrun this train. I shall fucking make it to Bath Spa Station. Yeah, haunted. All old railway lines are haunted. All school toilets are haunted. A lot of people must die in school toilets for them to all be haunted. Yeah, the ghost of a shopping list. You get like this whole thing was a Black Bridge bit. Supposedly the one you're like, it's got I don't know what happened with it. There was supposed to be like a connecting bridge, and like when you're a kid, people tell you like there was a train full of people going across it at the height of the Blitz, and then a big like Luftwaffe fucking V2 hit it and like exploded everyone on board and all of that. That'd be a remembered thing. There'd be like a plaque or something. If that'd be like one of the worst disasters of the war. But if you like camp up now when you're a kid, what is a thing to do if you live in Chippenham? If you wanted to put the shits up some kids camping, is get some white sheets and some fucking surplus like British Rail hats or something, and just fucking go up and fucking go woo or whatever with all of that on there, or just write a shopping list with like eggs, bread, milk, blood on it, and just distribute it around the. You can't promote littering, really. Any questions?
There was a few comments. We were talking about weapons in the countryside. Martin Searle.
Oh yeah.
Said, not just the countryside. I got shot in the leg with an air rifle in South London when I was a kid. Went onto the wrong bit of territory. And then Colin Samuels said, I set fire to my pajamas once with a deodorant flamethrower.
What were you doing to? Why? What were you? Why were you in? Why would you be like in your pajamas and doing? What was the circumstance?
We need more details.
Yeah.
And Sniffy was commenting on being able to hear me laugh throughout the last bit that you were doing. I'm very sorry.
I need to hear some sort of laughter, Smithy. It's been a long time since I've been in front of an audience. I'm a comedian and I'm needy and have all the various kind of personality disorders associated with being a comedian, and I need laughter. Yeah, improvised weaponry was that's a fairly universal thing. I'm sure it's different now. I never know whether things are better or fucking worse now. And I've like kids come in the shop, their haircut. I'm always impressed by how they're not as fucking knuckle-headed as everyone was when I was their age. It's, the thing is kind of like, I've got some books here as well. They're a kind of mixture of like kind of books that are supposed to be the books I fucking loved when I was a kid. I used to read like constantly that were supposed to be spooky. Some of the greatest ones were compiled in the Usborne. I think is the greatest publisher of all time. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Usborne is, you can take your penguins and trying to think of another supposedly well-read man, trying to think of another publisher of books. So I was going to go Puffin, same thing. Puffin is penguin for kids. And there was like Usborne and Hippo and all them kind of things. But Usborne, the greatest book of the 1980s was the Usborne Book of the Supernatural World. I've got several copies of it. This isn't my one from when I was a kid. This one I bought second hand. It's a car boot font. If you ever see one of these in a car boot sale or a charity shop, don't fuck about, because these are the holy grail of like 80s kids stuff. It's basically three classic, well, it's two classic and one sort of all rights book in one. The real classic is the greatest kids book ever, which is hang on, I've not figured out the whole backward thing on this. The Usborne Supernatural God of Vampires, Werewolves and Demons, which has got more blood and decapitation than any other fucking kids book of the time. This one here has got, for some reason, someone has written Chris de Burgh in here. Maybe they thought, like, what's something terrifying I can add to this? Yeah, to this load of fucking vampires, ghouls, kelpies, banshees, and whatever kind of thing. It's just fucking tremendous stuff straight in there with this motherfucker rising from the fucking dead right about here. And then you've got the just some of it's just fucking outright fucking, but so you've got vampire fucking dogs and frogs right about there. It's all presented as like sort of fact as well. It's got a stake right in the back of the fuck. This is fucking tremendous stuff here. Plagues and vampires, topical material right about now. You probably don't want to read that if you've got any kind of anxiety about the current situation. But just ignore the smoke and pyres there. Arnold Paol, or whatever that is there, that got bit by a vampire. Damn if it become a vampire. The stakings in here are something else. Right about there, a whole bunch of them staked out there, torched. They didn't fuck about with vampires back then. Vampire elephant? Why the fuck not a vampire elephant? An enraged looking vampire elephant there, or is it just, it's just a fucking big bastard with an elephant's face on it, really, when it comes down to it? Or so hairy vampire with some poor sod's head right about there, looks pleased himself. Woman getting savaged to death by a bloody great tiger with two tails. There's the Japanese vampires, like this giant double-tailed cat with very evil spirits. No shit, Sherlock fucking mauling someone to death there. Disguise themselves by assuming the likeness of the human victim after hiding the corpse. So this thing here, when they just like put her kimono on and gone, oh, this will do here. It's fucking tremendous stuff there. And then there was you got werewolves. There's just blood everywhere. You can have your fucking goosebumps, whatever. I haven't even read them, but I just presume that it's. It says how to become a werewolf. Right about here, you need the wolfsbane, opium, fox gloves, bat blood, the fat of a murdered child. Is what the Usborne know-how book of how to become a werewolf. Right about there. So opium, right about there, and a kid's just the fucking greatest thing in the bloody world here. French wolf boy, relatives of the werewolf, just fucking a warthog, whatever the fuck that is. Well, this is like the fucking great fucking heavy metal album covers that never were. That fucking alligator thing there. And then demons, just fucking there's the haunted houses. Third one's actually the creepiest thing in the third one, which is the mysterious powers, is the fact that it's got fucking Yuri Geller in it, with his fucking spoon fondling. And all of that, which is quite a thing. There's also the Usborne Mysteries of the Unknown, which was nearly as good. Nearly as good. It wasn't quite so much blood. The Minotaur there has been goring some bastard to death right about there. It's just fucking, if in doubt, the Usborne thing just put some fucking blood on it, if in doubt. So this is a beauty here. The old Lambton Worm. Let's have some beardy hipster knight hacking the fuck out of a big bastard of a snake with spiky armour on. It's just fucking a marvellous, marvellous childhood. So you had them sort of books that were designed thing. And then you had ones that were just kind of kids' books of the sort of mid-70s to early 1980s that were not written on drugs, but written by people that probably took some drugs when they were like at college or whatever. And it was just enough to give them a bit of perception on things. So what would be one of these? Just some of them were just full of kind of random sort of oddness, really. There was here's one actually before I move on to those. This is one. Giles Brandreth was a prolific children's author, prolific sweatshirt wearer and eye roller of the 1980s. This is the most horrific book ever known. Says Giles Brandreth. This is a man who knows Jeffrey Archer intimately. And he says the most horrific book ever known. It's like got just bits of horror trivia. You read them in like a Giles Brandreth voice. So the preview of the horror film Macabre was shown in an abandoned churchyard on a tombstone. Eye bulge and all of that kind of thing. The thing with this that gives it a bit of added kind of bit of eeriness is that I lost my copy I had when I was a kid, and I found this in a charity shop in Chippenham. And it's also got writing in there, which is, the name there says Peter Weaving. It's a close friend of mine who died, passed away in mysterious circumstance about 10 years before I found that in the charity shop. So there's 1,001 spooky things there. So one more for Giles Brandreth. If I ever meet Giles Brandreth, I'm going to corner him and just fucking lay that on him with no fucking warning whatsoever. And then we'll see who rolls their fucking eyes. But yeah, so there's these sorts of books. Just a good, cool coincidence, that. And the ones, what was the one I used? This is one I used in the original show. This is one of the first books I had from Chippenham Library. I can actually see out the fucking window. Now, my house like added kind of... This is... by a guy called Stephen Kellogg, who was a children's illustrator who clearly, he was somebody who clearly, I reckon he did like loads of acid. I reckon he probably might have had acid once and smoked a lot of marijuana at college and possibly went to a few Grateful Dead shows or whatever. He did children's books that were kind of like sort of pastely, sort of lo-fi kind of things, or sort of like bizarre country folk. So this is called There Was an Old Woman, and it's a book based on the famous folk song Burl Ives, the I know an old lady who swallowed a fly. I don't know why. This is like a kind of like the greatest sort of bizarre kids film that Tim Burton never made in many ways. So it starts off like every good kids book with old granny discharging a double-barreled shotgun at a fly, with little gun yanking her dog by the lead there, and this has got kind of like it's sort of comes from. It's just generally these sort of books are kind of unsettling. So you've got her husband there. Howdy, Rosebud, have some pie. She's like, fuck you, I'm going to eat this fucking fly, having failed to shoot it with a double-barreled shotgun. I'm going to consume it. And, of course, as we know from the song, there's like she gets quite sort of disturbingly ill from this kind of thing. Looks near to death, in fact, from the start. And then she starts this whole kind of rigmarole of eating a veritable menagerie of other animals in order to, like, they'll all, in theory, kill each other on having been swallowed whole and in her digestive system. And this, the whole thing of her, like, fucking writhing in agony with this thing, I thought was, like, kind of odd as a kid. The cat fucking quite understandably shitting itself there, because it's kind of like getting the gist of things now. It's like just eating the parrot, like I'm going to be fucking next, and I'll give the dog a fucking heads up as I'm heading up this fucking tree. So what do you do when you've like eaten loads of animals and are having like fucking traumatic fucking wriggling that wriggled and jiggled inside her? Burl Ives impersonation free of charge. Right there. What you do is you join the fucking circus freak show, as she does it. Weird thing with her like sort of crucified, Jesus-like, in the wreckage of a shed, having just swallowed a cow. How? Fuck knows. But yet she swallowed a cow, and this thing here, joins the circus freak show, the Gooch family circus. I put some scans up of this, and this like here's obviously the promoter. We know that promoters. I mean, I had a TV guy once try to convince me to shove my head in a fucking ice cream machine. I said, you know what, well that's dangerous. I don't fucking know, so I probably won't do it then. But he's saying now, like she's gone. I've swallowed all of this here fly as flies. Oh, we could have fucking done that easy by accident. A spider, like, well, again, easily fucking done. The average person swallows several of them. A parrot, well, that's what I think. A cat, a cow. And he's gone, well, what I reckon, if you could see your way to swallowing a horse live at my fucking circus, that giraffe looks fucking unimpressed. There, I can see the writing on the wall there. So for 300 quid, or probably dollars. This appears to be America. So fucking eat a horse for 300 quid. Why the fuck not? So there she's fucking immediately. So a clown getting shot out of a cannon right there. She's fucking expanding under the weight of all this thing, smoking cigars now, because that's what you do in cartoons when you're wealthy. You immediately start smoking cigars and looking prosperous, fucking having a fucking eyeball of that bear in the cage right there, who's thinking fuck all of this being in the circus, and her husband sticking his oar in there. Probably one of these so-called experts, her husband, one of these nervous Nellies trying to stop her from her inalienable right to swallow a fucking horse. And he's like, Rosebud, you know, he's like, fuck you, Waldo, this is the fucking, well, I think Britain's got something right here. So the size of this fucking horse, as well as this thing was doomed to failure as a venture from the start, and there she is, already diva-like there, smoking cigars and shit, and it ends with her strewn corpse on the floor there with the fly. Eventually thinks like, well, probably I could get the fuck out of here now. And just if you didn't realise that death was a thing now, there's her tombstone with a few fucking spooky owls and shit by it right there. So there you go, standard Chippenham library fair. It was easier with PowerPoint really at the time. I'm gonna have a sip of beer. Anyone got anything to chip in?
A couple. Smithy was saying Ladybird books. You were asking about like publishers. And
oh yeah, Ladybird. There's some. I might just do a few. So I've really got like bits about it, but just like a few kind of things for either you might remember these or got them in the. Dennis Gifford was one of the great people of the old school. He was basically Dennis Gifford was who I envied as a kid. His job was Britain's #1 nostalgist. He just used to write. He spent his entire. He was Bob Monkhouse's best mate, and they were like in the army together, and they used to write stuff for the Beano together when they were like 12 or something. And like Bob Monkhouse went on to become he grew up to be Bob Monkhouse, and Dennis Gifford just thought fuck this to growing up at all, and just wrote loads of fucking definitive books on comics. Monsters, the movies by him. It's got some cool pictures of Lon Chaney Jr. there, the Electric Man. Bela Lugosi in lockdown hair mode there in the Highlander. Dr. Moreau, Dr. Caligari, Rondo Hatton, one of my favourite horror movie actors. He had a just sad thing with Rondo Hatton. He had a condition that caused his face to look like that. I thought he looked really fucking cool, but then I don't know. He was exploited really by the film companies, and caught loads of shit that shouldn't be in a kid's book. Ingrid Pitt, the whole lesbian vampire thing, and all of that. Dennis Gifford thought quite rightly, want to introduce lesbian vampires at an early age as fucking possible. They're gonna fucking, if you're buying this in the first place, you're gonna fucking be into lesbian vampires at some point. Might as well get a fucking kickstart and know the names of a few unsuitable films right about there. What else have we got? There's the Beaver Book of Horror. Beaver Books there. That was another one of your old school publishers. There's just a whole thing of this. Lon Chaney Sr. There's also released as the Hamlin Book of Horror Illustrated. The usual kind of mix of like Vlad the Impaler and Dracula. Elizabeth Bathory. Is it Bathory or Bathory? I think it's Bathory. Venom did that song count as Bathory, but then not the sharpest tools in the box. The Spookster's Handbook, part of the Whiz Kids Handbook, or How to Drive. It's like the Whiz Kids Handbook. It's a load of like sort of 101 magic shithouse tricks to play on people. This has got like one bite for this lethal document will transform you into a fiendish horror, guaranteed to turn your friends to gibbering jelly blobs. So it's for basically think like I fucking hate all of my peers and I like horror. Here's how you fuck them over with the very thing they fucking mock you for. What's in here actually? There's the haunted matchbox there. Have you ever seen a ghost? You ask your friends. Fuck off, you weirdo. They will actually say to you. But there's this whole thing of like using a string to make it look like a matchbox is moving in your arm. Strangled by a monster, right about there. How to like get a rubber hand and go like that, like you're being strangled. And just for good measure, there's a kid who's ironically there's an actual monster strangling him to death there, and his mates are like, oh, there he is fucking about again, pretending to be strangled by a monster. Such a very notion would be preposterous of being strangled by an actual fucking monster. And one of them things that where you like stare at this guy's can you name these famous monsters from the very poor quality illustrations? That's that is one of the most fucking shit house drawings of Christopher Lee that I've ever seen in my fucking life. And this is like I believe that is it's like King Kong or the Abominable Snowman. You can't fucking tell. The Loch Ness Monster is I was gonna say the Loch Ness Monster is real, it's not a film monster though, is it? So yeah, that's Armada Books. Any
Colin Samuel with a bit more information about the pajamas that you set on fire.
Yeah, this instance with the.
So I was at my grandparents' house, saw a fag lighter and a can of deodorant in the bathroom, and thought it was too good an opportunity to pass up. Turns out pajamas are pretty flammable.
Had you seen Live and Let Die, the Bond film before? That's how Roger Moore kills a snake. Dr. Kananga's guys put a snake in his bathroom and he gets a cigar. Fortunately, James Bond smokes a cigar when he's taking a dump or whatever he's doing, and then he inflames it to shit.
Glenn Jakeman says, I remember a book that had things in it like the Nandi bear and basilisks. It also described in great detail how to chop vampires' heads off and stuff their mouths with garlic.
Excellent stuff. Basilisks are quite. There's the Sainsbury's Book of Fabulous Beasts is over there somewhere in the deep depths of that. That had a basilisk on the front of it.
And then you were talking about Giles Brandreth before, and Colin Samuel was asking, was he a Tory MP at one point? Matt Roseblade said yes.
Yeah, I know that he's
Martin
like a.
Searle said yes in the early 90s.
Yeah, I did think he was like affiliated somehow. I didn't know if he was an actual MP or.
And then Gary McCall suggested the Hamlin Book of Horror. That was my Bible in primary school.
Well, this here is the Hamlin Book of Horror in like portable format with less pictures in it. So if you ever see this one, I remember when I'm thinking of a different era when it's the sort of thing you'd find at a car boot. You could go to a car boot back in my day. You go to a car boot and find all of this fucking pile here for like 1 pence and all of that. And like now you just get this all just fucking meerkats and soiled clothing.
Also coronavirus, so right.
Yeah, right. They're bringing car boot sales back apparently this Sunday. We're going to go just to fucking see the fucking. They're going to just. It's like because outdoor markets. They're like, right, we'll have fucking outdoor markets. So if someone could just like walk up and socially distance and buy an apple, then surely could rummage through all of someone sort of like, oh, what's this? Who is this? This looks new. Yes, it's fucking shit. Just from somebody who fucking like they passed away recently. Was it the corona? No, it wasn't. No, what can you fucking imagine if imagine someone going there, like keeling over with something totally fucking different, and everyone just fucking like fuck and like and fucking car boot sales. They're fucking. I love them, but they're fucking. There's no touch with fucking reality with them. I just want to go just to see it not fucking work. There'll be some kind of shit will go down. I think it's devices that are attempting this fantastic feat.
Johnny says him and Annie are popping off to bed now. Had a very late night last night. Thanks, mate. Enjoyed it a lot. Much love to you and Sarah. See you for the Chiplin Festival in 2 weeks.
Yes, I could plug Chiplin Comedy Festival, couldn't I? Just one sort of bit.
I even wrote some handy stuff.
Chiplin Comedy Festival, you're thinking that won't be happening this year, what with the plague and everything, but you'd be fucking wrong because through the medium of this, we've got the Chiplin Comedy Festival. So if you go to the Chiplin Comedy Club, basically it's going to be, I should say what it is before, like, there's going to be things, so just go and buy your tickets, don't trouble yourselves with what the fuck it is or anything like that. Chiplin Comedy Festival's gone online, so you don't have to come to Chiplin to watch it. Basically, the old road's been shut for the duration, and it's a great venue. They've been really good, Chiplin Comedy Club, and we want to help them out. So the comedy festival is going online. It's going to be on the Saturday the 20th of June and Sunday the 21st of June. There's going to be stuff. So on the 20th of June, there's going to be like, from 7 p.m. There's going to be like, remember when Comic Relief was good? I should know what it's obviously it's a good cause. Remember when it was like actually watchable back in like when it was like Rick Mayall and French and Saunders and like Lenny Henry and all that kind of thing, when it wasn't like Mrs. Brown's Boys and fucking James Corden and all that kind of thing, fucking all this kind of thing. It's going to be like that. It's going to be like an old school sort of like telethon kind of thing. There's going to be loads of comics doing like short bits from like 7 to whenever. So I'll be emceeing it like this. It's going to be we've got who's going to be on? There's going to be Danny Buckler. There's going to be Caroline Maybe. There's going to be Andrew O'Neill. There's going to be Suze Kempner. There's going to be Laura Monmouth. There's going to be Cena Min. There's going to be a full lineup published on there. On the Sunday, there's going to be a John Robbins pub quiz, like virtual pub quiz. Danny Buckler's going to be doing an hour show, which I've seen a run through of it. It's fucking brilliant. And there's also going to be a Special We Hope It's Chips. It's going to be me and Mark Fortune with Robin Ince going to be joining us for that episode of We Hope It's Chips. It'll be like this, but there'll be three of us just kind of shooting the shit about days of yore and all of that. So that's on the 20th, 21st of June. So if you go on the Chittenden Comedy Club Facebook page, there's a link, and you can buy them. How much are the tickets?
£15.
It's 15 quid. 15 quid plus the fee. You can see the whole shebang.
On Zoom.
It's all on Zoom, not on here. Yeah, you can buy it on Facebook, but it's going to be on Zoom as well.
So anyone that buys a ticket, you'll get sent an email with all the links that you need and like reminders and stuff. It'll all happen automatically.
Cool. So, what was all this thing? I forgot. What was all this thing? I think that was essentially a lot of that was the show, except in the show had a PowerPoint that was a poster that we used to have on the wall of my class when I was at primary school, which was basically the Incredible Hulk threatening to kick fuck out of you if you didn't brush your teeth. But I've not been able to find a good scan of that. But just the Hulk with a toothbrush going like, Hulk hates people who don't brush their teeth. If you don't brush your teeth, there'll be someone knocking at your door and it won't be that fucking milkman. All right? You're like, okay, I better brush my teeth if the Incredible Hulk's going to physically fucking assault me. There used to be that. There used to be one that was another farm safety was Mr. Scare Kid, who was like a fucked up version of Wurzel Gummidge, who'd be like, be sort of like, hey kids, drink some fucking weed killer. I'll be like, see that combine harvester? Why don't you shove your fucking head in between the fucking blades of it? And there's like panels of this at the end. The kids are like, oh, fuck you, Mr. Scare Kid. I've learned farm safety, so get to fucking like fucking farm safety fucking farmers going to fucking schools and fucking telling them not to fucking drink weed killer, the bastards. I'm trying to fucking murder children in fucking industrial fucking agricultural accidents. There was films on this as well. There's that one before my time, that Apache thing where the kid literally drowns in shit. Or was it like a pit of like silage and like literally drowns in it? Another kid gets in a fucking tractor and like starts driving it, and it goes out of control down a fucking slope, and it must have been tremendously exciting until he hit the
Keith Larkworthy said Apache's PIF played at Assembly at Monkton Park. Awful. I wasn't sure what PIF.
Public Information Film.
Yeah.
And there was another one that was later that was like some kids on a farm. There's a ghost, some old bugger who goes never rest in peace, and he like tries to stop them getting into accidents and shit. He's like, then eventually they're safe and they're like, so now he can finally rest in peace. Then one of them gets like twatted by a car while they're pricking about with that. Hilarious, I thought, but you're supposed there's Building Sites Bite was another one as well. There was a posh kid and he's like visiting his aunt who's got two kids that are like little fucking psychopaths, and he's sort of like, his mum's like, oh, he wants to be a architect when he grows up, and the kid's sort of like, he's thought things like, architect, he's never been on a fucking building inside, I'll teach him a fucking lesson. They like they beam him into some kind of TARDIS thing and keep sending him to his fucking death on a building. So it's all just because his fucking mum's gone like, oh, he'd like to be an architect. And they're like, architect, I'll fucking kill the bastard. Like, is there anything like going on with you, lad, that you'd like to fucking share with us? It's just like, I fucking just fantasising about killing my cousin because he's got a fucking vague idea of what job that he wants to do. And I thought that was another one.
I used to be terrified of fridges because there used to be public information films when I was a kid about how you shouldn't ever shut a kid in a fridge.
Not even for a laugh.
No, because it'll mean that you'll die.
A death trap.
Yeah.
That's why in Back to the Future, originally the time machine was going to be a fridge that was powered by Coca-Cola. They said, like, you fucking can't go. Like, here you go. Here's the magic fucking fridge. Just shut yourself in this fridge. You'll go back to 1955, Barney. And they were like, no, like a car, please. Not a fucking... a fucking fridge. So, anyone else got any?
Mostly. Andrew uses Hunter says, I got almost all the Pan books of horror for 20p each just before the lockdown at Car Boot. That was a good score.
You might have had the last good car boot purchase in Britain, and it's kind of like it's the apocalypse, but not. It's like I remember watching like Threads when I was at college, the 1984 nuclear war thing. I remember watching that, and this nightmarish and the war game from the 60s, nightmarish visions of like the apocalypse, and like it's not just the nuclear bomb dropping, but like the breakdown of society and all that kind of thing. And like you know now, if that happened, if the fucking bomb dropped on like Lynham or whatever, nuclear bomb, there'd be people fucking like demanding the fucking Black Horse was open the fucking day after with like fucking fallout coming down. Do you know? I know that no one in Chippenham would give a fuck about any of that. They'd all be out fucking. Oh, better fucking reacquaint myself with fucking cycling if there's a fucking nuclear war on. And I'd be fucking. And like the whole thing of like, oh, there'd be there'll be armed traffic wardens. Kind of fucking would be. It'd be if it was fucking. The fucking president would be like, sort of, right, you can like stay in your shelter if you like. Can't fucking force you to stay in there or anything. Like, sort of, don't breathe in the fallout. Don't breathe in the fucking fallout dust. Like, should we be wearing radiation suits? I don't know. I don't know. The fucking like, yeah, no. Fucking ask me again tomorrow. Like, possibly. Fucking radiation, but then very actually not. I didn't think we should fucking move on from the whole thing of fucking radiation masks and shit. So yeah, fucking there's be a modern version of Threads where there's garden centres open. That's
Smithy said, you beat me to it, Will, about Back to the Future. Glenn Jakeman, there's definitely a public information film that tells you not to just dump fridges because kids might see it as a playset. Yeah, terrifying thought of that.
Is that the one's like, it's a bar, it's a car, it's a boat, it's the Millennium Falcon, a fucking death trap?
I just remember it being like a building site or something, like waste ground with a fridge and kids getting into the fridge and it being like they're going to die. And it was terrifying.
I remember Mooncat doing similar on Get Up and Go, and the guy out of Prime Suspect getting raw on his ass for doing it because of the dangerousness of it. It used to be the other thing used to be things in programs that would have like a thing out, like when the old live action Spider-Man would be on, when the credits run, you get the BBC continuity goes, oh, look, it's like to remind younger viewers that walking up walls and jumping off of skyscrapers could well end in disaster. And like all the guy with the ping pong balls on the Little and Large show would be like on there, like have like the ping pong balls with the. I fucking compared a comedy thing really early on once the headline that was doing the ping pong balls out of the mouth, and I sort of like thought I'd go back on and go, oh, the minute someone started doing that with their vag, he was fucked, wasn't he? But no, it's a skill in itself, I suppose, just a less salacious version of it. But yeah, he used to get like for fuck's sake, don't Peter Duncan walking on hot coals and Andy Crane looking like he was going to have a fucking embolism. So I was like, please don't fucking even. So I was like, well, if Peter Duncan could do that, I'll just fucking get my dad's barbecue and fucking set it ablaze.
Smithy is asking, what was the safety film animated by the guy that did The Snowman? When the Wild Winds Blow?
When the Wind Blows.
Me as a kid.
Well, that was when the Wind Blows. That was Raymond fucking Mr. Happiness Briggs with his graphic novel about nuclear destruction. Always fun. Or even the Snowman is fun, bleak as fuck. Every time when it's the autumn and my depression is at its absolute fucking height, always look out the window and think fucking everything looks like a Raymond Briggs fucking graphic novel. There's those fucking like dark pastel-y fucking skies and shit. I always found his books really fucking depressing, especially The Snowman. The Father Christmas one's not so bad, but you think of it. There's that one. What's the one with the guy's a toilet cleaner? There's Fungus the Bogeyman. That was all kinds of fucked up as well.
Keith Larkworthy saying he had a book back in the 70s called Local Ghosts about Wiltshire paranormal stuff. That sounds cool. You've got.
I got the haunted pubs thing from the Wiltshire's haunted pubs. So they got some of the pubs in there, I believe, are haunted only by pissheads. Yeah, guys, it was fucking like going to we went in the fucking hotel and they were I've seen this. I bet you see all kinds of fucking shit rummy. Like, it's fucking this frightening fucking apparition that we see every fucking Saturday. It's probably another fucking career pisshead that you just never interact with. He's like a fucking zombie of some description. There's this phantom smell of piss and piss and fucking Benson Hedges smoke, and then he appears, clad in fucking old-fashioned clothing, and fucking the terrible supernatural white as a sheet, he is. And, but yeah, apparently some pubs are legitimately bedeviled by phantoms in Chippenham. But yeah, is that anyone else? Anything else?
Ben Jason says there's a G.I. Joe one as well, telling you not to get into fridges. Like a public information film with G.I. Joe telling you.
Oh, God, they used to be at the end of every He-Man used to have that at the end of it as well. They used to be the kind of like sort of, well, we've had a lot of fun today, but you could probably fuck yourself up good style attempting some of it. Like they used to have Ram Man be sort of like, well, don't fucking like if you're a child, you've watched Ram Man, thought like I'm gonna just run head first straight into a brick fucking wall. Having seen that, it's G.I. Joe is learning is half the battle.
Didn't Batman? Didn't there used to be some warnings at the end
yes.
of Batman sometimes?
I've never.
Sorry.
No, it's because I've never seen this, but it was apparently when it was originally run, there were some kids who in Britain who did like the whole thing of like, oh, I better tie a towel around my shoulders and jump off the roof of my house to my death. And they had a thing with Adam West doing like a sort of I don't fly in the program. Like fuck knows why you're doing it. I thought it not happening in America. You'd fucking think it'd be fucking there, but Christ, if you're gunning, like fucking don't for fuck's sake. And like that, I've never seen it, but it's just Adam West going sort of like, I can't believe I haven't even do this. Like I don't like this isn't wings. It's a fucking cape. At what point do I fly in this? Exactly, fucking no. But yeah. A hell of a way to die. This the in person just getting onto a thing and jumping off the Superman impersonators. There must be kids who died doing that, just like going like just fucking splat everywhere. Fucking.
I always remember when the Power Rangers were like really popular. There was always things in the news about kids that like maimed themselves or their younger siblings by copying what they'd seen in the Power Rangers. So Kung
Fu and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's mark of a good TV show if there's a few tragedies attached to it. It's like, I'm trying to think of some other dangerous shit from.
Colin Samuel saying, is it really that hard to get out of the fridge? It's not like they have locks.
There's no fucking handle on the inside. They're airtight as well. You'd run out of oxygen quickly.
If you were in one and the door shut, you'd never be able to get back out again. But surely you'd be able to push it and it would open. But the thing was that you would get trapped.
They used to have like a lock on them, didn't they?
I think old-fashioned ones had like a funny handle.
If your mates were like pushing the doors, like,
but yeah, it was always the thought of getting stuck inside a fridge, terrifying. Martin Searle says the Briggs toilet cleaner one is Gentleman Jim.
Yes, that was the one. That was the fucking bleak. That was even bleaker than When the Wind Blows. I think is it not? He's a toilet cleaner who dreams of being a highwayman, and he ends up like committing a robbery and getting banged up or something like that.
I don't remember this. I remember the other ones, but not that.
I'll look into this. Or maybe not. It was fucking depressing. All of his characters look like Richard Attenborough in 10 Rillington Place.
Yes, Glenn Jakeman saying in the old days they'd lock you in, so you'd close the door, couldn't get out, and suffocate. And also the what I was saying about the Power Rangers that happened with the turtles as well. I remember that.
Oh yeah, you weren't allowed it used to be called Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles in my day, and there was a ban on nunchucks in films and cartoons because like in the 70s when Enter the Dragon come out, the authorities whatever were like sort of fuck me, if we like let this go, there'll be all sorts of fucking psychos down the football with like two chair legs with a fucking chain holding them together, go fucking have that, you Millwall cunt, and that's why Michelangelo was armed with a bit of pizza in the edited versions of it. The edit out of the films as well. There was like all the scenes with him doing his nunchuckery were missing from it. But there used to be like every fucking arcade game had a pair of nunchuckers in it, so it's not like these people couldn't figure out how to do it.
Sniffy saying, when we were kids, I remember DDTs were banned because everyone was doing it to their mates in the playground. I don't know what that is.
That's a wrestling move. We get someone in a front face lock and then tip them. You tip yourself back, and it's sort of like supposed to drive their head into the floor. No, one Edinburgh, I did it to me and Sean Walsh were messing about drunk, and he wanted me to try and arrest him, so I did a DDT on him. And he was selling it quite well, and there were some people like nearby thought I'd actually fucking like knocked him out. Matt Ford, who was like even more pissed than we were, sees Sean like out on the floor, and he just fucking tipped like 4 fucking pints of drink on him that were like nearby, trying to wake him up like in a cartoon by like pouring liquid on him. But yeah, it was. Yeah, I don't think I didn't hurt him at all. I did it. I delivered it properly. He has since then. Yeah, this was way before that.
Yeah. So.
And it's midnight, which is the witching hour. So we couldn't have time as any to. So yeah, Paul Daniels pretending to kill himself every Halloween. That was another one. You remember that? He had the. My dad was fucking delighted because he thought Paul Daniels had killed himself live on television. My dad fucking hated him, and there was this. He had like a thing where he was in like an Iron Maiden. He was sort of like, "Oh, I will escape before the fucking time runs out," and then he didn't, and it fucking shut, and all the lights went down. There was like a voice going, "We will all please leave in an orderly fashion." And then like titles, then it was like here it's like, "Oh, here's a message that I pre-recorded. I sincerely hope I don't get shut in that fucking Iron Maiden and get killed." Oh, and that was it. And then on the news at 10, they were like, "Something, yeah, we've had every fucking old granny's been ringing in saying like, oh, that poor man," and like Wil Hodgson's dad's been like, "Is he dead? I want to see his body. I want to see his fucking body. God damn it!" But like, no, it was all just like a hoax and everything. He did another one where he got burnt at the stake as well. He was quite good at that sort of shit, Paul Daniels. He had a kind of an eye for that sort of thing. But yeah, and there's Ghost Watch as well. Just fucking watch it if you haven't. That was the greatest thing. My next door neighbour went fucking postal when Ghost Watch was on and went out fucking like kicking bins around and shit, thinking he was possessed by fucking Satan. Fucking you've seen this with fucking Michael Parkinson gets possessed by the ghost of a dead sex offender at the end of it, and fucking Mike Smith, the fucking thing should have been the ghost of that guy from the Late Breakfast Show. With the you should have had the fucking bungee rope tested, Mike Smith. Woo, you and Noel Edmonds. Allegedly, there's nothing to suggest that anyone was at fault on that Late Breakfast Show thing. And if anyone says they saw it live, they're talking through their ass as well, because it was never broadcast. So no one ever saw anyone die on the Late Breakfast Show live on telly. And also, if I can preempt that, next time it comes around, that video of Rainbow where they're talking about wanking was filmed to be watched at the ITV Christmas party. It was never actually broadcast. So that's spoiled for everyone.
Glenn Jakeman says Michael Lush
That's the one. The Late Breakfast Show guy.
Yeah.
It was something involving a cardboard box, and a car park, and a bungee rope, and he got splattercated, spin the wheel. There's a thing on YouTube with John Peel nearly getting killed by a thing. It's on like a compilation with Anthony Turner getting exploded by that motorbike as well. Mm-hmm. That's quite a fucking thing. Yeah. Cool. Right, last shout out for Q&A, and then I reckon it's fucking 5 past midnight. It's getting late. I must be like 10 seconds away from where I'm sat. It feels weird. Like, it's the whole thing of like being in. I'm quite liking this because there's no public transport involved. Anyone else for anything else?
Oh wait, Glenn Jakeman saying Edmonds threw Mike Smith completely under the bus for that. And Brian Devine saying, a delight as ever, Will. You're a star. Love your style.
Thank you.
Oh, and Keith Larkworthy. Yes, it was. The Ghost on Ghost Watch was called Pipes, I think.
Yeah, Pipes. It was, and it was. It was had a fucking cast list on it, but people convinced it was there was some kind of like bad shit, like someone died or something as a result of it. I'm not exactly sure how, but there were consequences. Nothing as cool as that was ever attempted again because of it. It's fucking brilliant though. It's one of the greatest things the BBC have ever fucking done. It was the whole general like sort of fuck it, let's go for actual fucking creepiness. They'll never fucking do that again. What be fucking pointless it's been done.
Matt Booker saying you'll turn back into a pumpkin. And Smithy saying pretty sure that bungee thing with Noel happened live on TV.
Nah, never did. Pre-recorded. So it's on tape somewhere, presumably. There's probably fucking evidence, probably a troll like the there's going to be that thing about the bullseye killer, and that won't be on now because of the bullseye. That's a thing I'll leave on Google, the bullseye killer, and if you're into true crime and 80s television, you'll be very grateful that I flagged that up for you. That's where the two meet.
Glenn Jakeman's agreeing with you. It was during the rehearsal for it, the Beeb cancelled the show right away and showed one of our dinosaurs is missing instead.
One of our contestants has been horribly killed. With Dean Jones and that guy who looks like Terry Thomas but isn't, that was in Mary Poppins.
Gary McCall, I still get flashbacks to Tommy Cooper dying on my.
That was live on telly. Tommy Cooper dying, and then his feet were on Tommy Cooper's last great act of comedy was he fucked up Les Dennis and Dustin G's thing because his feet were still sticking out from under the curtain while Les Dennis was doing I don't really know, and I had a dream the other night. I was gigging with Les Dennis and I was saying to him what a fan of his stuff I was when I was a kid on Russ Abbott and that, and he was really fucking nice. I've never met Les Dennis. I kept flyering him when he was up at the Fringe one year, and every time I'd see him I'd go up to him and I'd say we should see this because this is about like sort of, this has like got elements of like bad mental health shit. I know you've also got your battles with your fucking demons and stuff. And he just used to give me that smile that he gives when you give like a fucking like something red, my trousers, Les, on Family Fortune. He goes like that, just give me that look back, like a sort of like the humour in you kind of thing. Nicer in the dream though. It has to be said.
Matt Booker saying that I think he means the Noel Edmonds footage will have been vaulted. Colin Samuels saying there was a rumour Fred West was on Bullseye.
No, but there was a serial killer that was on Bullseye, and he goes, I like doing potholing, Jim, and Jim was like, oh, you want to go to the Lake District, and the boy was like, oh, I'll do that, and he apparently committed like murders, and just fucking, they showed the Bullseye episode in court and everything, and Poor old Jim Bowen. So, like, remember that guy was on balls? I think Jim, yeah, he's a serial killer. Smashing. Fucking hell, yeah. There's going to be a film about this on ITV, but never transpired.
Glenn Jakeman saying that Tommy Cooper dying is on YouTube.
I can't watch it. I just couldn't.
And Colin Samuel saying, then much later, Rose West was engaged to the bass player from Slade.
What?
Is that true? That's amazing if it is true. Gary McCall, oddly, I have met Les Dennis. He was really sweet and spent loads of time talking to me and my parents. So
that was real.
Yes.
Cool. Well, that all tallies to my. Yeah, I was doing a gig somewhere, I'm not sure where, but there was Les Dennis, like Compound or something. So, oh my God, Les are fucking like huge fans to fucking like Russ Savage. So I'm like, oh, that's really fucking good to hear that. And it's sort of like, yeah, fucking, I have left a mark on things. I thought, isn't this nice? And I thought, actually, come to think of it, are we not locked down in a COVID-19 pandemic? And I was wait a second, why is there a fucking Thompson's Gazelle doing the open spot at this gig? Fuck me.
Brian Jakeman saying they kicked him out of Slade for it. So
for being engaged to Rose West. They've come a long way from the rock and roll rebels they used to be, a little thing like that.
Keith Larkworthy saying one of the older lads on Monkton Park went to a party at 25 Cromwell Street.
While they were living there?
I don't know.
Presumably.
And
is this one of these things like a Mars bar party that may or may not actually exist?
I don't know. Colin Samuel has put a link to a BBC article about the drummer from Slade. Or was it the bass player from Slade?
How did he get fucking engaged to Rose West?
I don't know, but he's put a link.
Well, I'll find it. I'll click on the link. Click on the link, we'll find it get chucked out of Slade just for a little thing like that.
Smoothie saying, can't believe Les Dennis fucked Amanda Bolton.
Well, it's safe to presume that may have been the.
You'd think that probably happened.
He was very nice in the dream. He was very charming.
Keith Larkworthy saying yes. So I think you asked, is that the same as a Mars bar party?
Mars bar party was when I was at secondary school. As if it was a alleged thing that people's big brothers had been to, where they go to a party and there'd be like a load of girls would like sort of stand there, and then the boys would insert Mars bars into them and then eat the Mars bars, and that was a party. There was a kid in my year who'd said his brother had been to one, and he'd actually melted a Mars bar like on a stove and like smeared the entire contents on this girl's vag and proceeded to eat it. I think it comes from a thing about Mick Jagger and Marianne Faithfull. I remember I was doing fucking Soho theatre years ago, about 15 years back, and me and Russ Howard had like a kind of thing. Both of us sort of had the thing, we wanted to do material about Mars bar parties because we both heard these urban myths, but we couldn't think of anything about it. And I was doing this Soho theatre thing. I thought I'd have a go at referencing it. And Russell Brand was doing a show downstairs, and he came up to watch the first bit of mine. And when I said, has anyone been to a Mars bar party, just everyone fucking turned and looked at Russell Brand as if, like, surely if these are a thing, like he'll have been to a fucking loads of it. He was like, no, fucking. So possibly there may have been some tall tales being told by. There's a similar jam party. There's another similar thing. It's fucking. Do you bring your own Mars bar, or just like whoever's hosting it get like a big economy pack from the cash and carry? It's the logistics more than the actual thing itself.
I'm gobsmacked at the whole fucking thing.
Just there like records on and that as well, and like sort of like so that's quite good. Anyway, do we come here to listen to fucking listen to music, or do we come here to have a fucking Mars bar party?
Oh. Glenn Jakeman saying that they were prison pen pals, Rose West and the bass player X Slade.
There's a film right there. ITV want when they're back in the whole thing of doing their quality crime, they do some fucking good crime dramas. There we go, fucking guy out of Slade and Rose West. And that is all, I reckon. Right, that's plenty of that. Thanks ever so much for joining me for that sort of bizarre redux of Leave the Landing Light On. It's not really that much different to what it was at the Fringe show on some levels. At the Fringe show, there was a live thing, a Bloody Mary in the mirror thing, where I had a mirror and got the audience to do the Bloody Mary 1, 2, 3 thing.
Sorry. Keith Arkworthy saying another rumour / urban myth. Fred West worked building on Pushing Estate.
And this only came to us. There's got to be every kind of. The Bloody Mary thing was from. So no, it's just I just remember the Bloody Mary thing was like Smithy. Well, this was in the cadets at the weekend camp, and Wayne Doman told a load of fucking ghost stories and scared the living shit out of me, and that was one of them, was the Bloody Mary thing. It's the whole thing of you go into a mirror and go Bloody Mary, 1, 2, 3, Bloody Mary, come to me, and a woman with snakes coming out of her head will appear in the mirror and like fucking try and claw you or something like that. And I was trying to do this in the stand with the audience who had like a mirror, and I had some of the girls that worked at the stand were like outside at the window to do like a sort of blood curdling scream at this key point of it and put the shits up everyone. So that's how the show ended, and that's as good a place as any to end it right about here. Well, thanks ever so much for joining me for that. Let's say Chippenham Comedy Festival will be online. If you want I'm out of work at the minute, so I'm not too proud to get the bucket. So rather than having the plastic bucket that you'd have at a bucket gig, if you want to like bung me a pint or something, it's PayPal is paypal.me/Chippenham Comedy. If you want to buy me a pint, you don't have to, but that'd be lovely if you fancy doing so. That's my great salesman bucket speech. Thanks ever so much for joining me for that. I might do another one before I go back to work, whenever that's going to be. I presume on the night before, they'll go on the telly at like 7:45 in the evening and go like sort of off you go. But I don't know. Anyway, thanks ever so much for that, and I'll hopefully see you guys soon. Can we put it on YouTube?
Yeah.
Was there not a lot? I don't think there's anything libelous, was there? Who's Rose West going to sue? Who's Fred West going to sue? He'd need the amazing fucking Kreskin.
Edmonds might sue you. Or...
Edmonds doesn't watch YouTube.
Trying to think who else you mentioned. Yeah, it'll be fine.
No, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Cool. Right. Thanks ever so much for that and live video.
Yeah.
Thanks very much. Cheers.